Is there an easier way? For example, complete the above operations in a simpler graphical interface. Of course! Below are two other versions. I'll demonstrate them step by step. Let's take a look at the second version after the improvement. I added for nodes to the original workflow. I marked all for nodes in red font. In the string manipulation node remains the same. After this node, two configuration nodes are added. Take a look at the first column filter first. Please select the column that needs to be deleted. Here I choose two columns. The year and month columns are not needed. Manual can be selected here. This is the first. The second node is still the same. Select the desired grouping column from each column. The three columns we chose in this place: channel, year and month. Choose such three columns. After executing the node, you can see a newly generated flow variable. Note that this flow variable is a list type. The list flow variable is obviously different from the string flow variable. In the View Variables interface, the symbol is different, not a single letter S. In this case, it represents a list or a collection. The list flow variable can be passed to the group loop start node. Then I will choose this grouping. In Include, select the column that needs to be added. But this time we use the flow variable to control. Use the flow variable just created in the Flow Variables tab. Select the flow variable in the drop-down list. Let's confirm its name again. Since these columns are used for grouping, it is best to modify the default name to facilitate identification. After modification, re-execute. Then select the flow variable just created. This is the flow variable to be used in the first grouping loop. Then the next one is the same way. First, take a look at the flow variable generated by the configuration node. The value of this flow variable is the column that needs to be filtered before exporting the data. The operation is similar. Check Enforced Inclusion, because this time it is necessary to filter other. In the Flow Variable option, select the flow variable just created and then add all the columns to the right. String manipulation configuration is different. The purpose is the same, to generate a path character. But here we use grouping variables. First, look at the flow variables generated by the previous node. Here, replace the double %sign with the path separator /bar. Finally, get the required string. This is the last part of the file path. Look at the next node. Combine the various strings. This is the path string just generated. The file storage location is controlled by the previous configuration section. In this node, browse the path where you need to save files. Although there is a red font warning in the interface, but it can actually be used normally. By default, you need to select a file, but the path is also possible. After executing the node, you get a save path for files. Then this is the file path just browsed. I pass this path to the next node. The strings are combined and a file path is finally generated. This is our final file path. It is the same as before. You need to convert the string to the path type stream variable. Then, pass it to the right node. Re-execute to see the new effect. I delete the original folder first. Then re-execute. The result is the same. The difference is add for new nodes. 3 of them are configuration class nodes. These 3 nodes, each node corresponds to a configuration option of a graphical parameter interface. Because later we need to pack all the nodes in this box into a component. Now look at the third version. In this version, we encapsulate the node in this yellow box. Encapsulated component, similar to the appearance of the node. Press Ctrl and double-click to enter the inside of the component. The nodes inside the components are the same as before, since the encapsulated component can be regarded as a node. After double-clicking the node, there are 3 configuration options. First, you need to save the file location. For example, I want to save it under the Output Data folder. We regroup by currency code. Regrouped by year. In addition, I want to delete all for columns when outputting data. Do it again. I will delete the previous files and folders first. Take a look at the newly generated results. Currently, the background is executing. First, check if the save path has changed. This is a currency code folder. Below each currency encoding folder will be a year folder. The year folder contains data for each month. This is an example of using a configurable node first and then encapsulating it into a component. Implement a more convenient graphical interface operation. This is my earliest initial version. In version 2, add multiple flow variable nodes. In version 3, after encapsulating into components, there are 3 different options in the interface. First, select the folder path. Second, filter the unwanted columns. Third, options need to group multiple columns. If I want to adjust the position of the following options. How to do this? This is also relatively simple. Go back to the inside of the component. In the toolbar, after clicking the Layout button, you can drag the location of each option inside. Click on the Configuration dialog box. Drag the File Save Location node to the bottom. This completes the array layout. Double-click the component again. You can see. First, select the columns that are grouped. Second, before output, the columns that need to be filtered. Third, the path to save the file by customizing the parameter order and location. Make the interface layout look more reasonable. In general, the key is, with the help of 3 configuration nodes and the created flow variables, it is encapsulated into components. This enables a graphical interface operation. However, there are some common problems that can occur on a daily basis. For example, couldn't find the flow variable. Why? The main reason is that the last node where the flow variable was created was not executed. Naturally, the flow variable cannot be found. It could also be current node is not compatible with the flow variable passed. For example, the Excel writer node at the end of the example accepts only the path type. If you pass a string type, because it's incompatible. So you need to convert the string to the path type. In addition, how to create an array type of flow variables. Both lists and collections belong to the array type. Commonly used nodes include group by and cell splitter nodes. Finally, we make a simple summary of the flow variables. Through the above 2 examples, we mainly use the flow variables to control the parameters in the node, achieve flexible processing of workflows, In addition, we use the encapsulated components, hide complex details, present a graphical parameter interface, and perform more convenient and flexible processing. Finally, there are more operating nodes for flow variables. For example, widget nodes. Leave it to you to explore. That's all I shared with you about flow variables. Hope you found this useful.